believe he's just taking a comfort break.
He's what?
He's taking a comfort break. Yes, sir.
Attorney Smith, Attorney Brooks, ready?
All right, we'll bring the jurors in now. Bring them in.
Please rise for the jury.
All rise for the jury.
All right, I'll ask the jurors to please remain standing. Everyone else, you may be seated.
Members of the jury, I'm going to swear you in now. So if you could please raise your right hands, and at the conclusion of the oath, if you would please say, "I will." You so solemnly swear or affirm that you will carefully consider the evidence and the law presented to you in this case, and that you will deliver a fair and true verdict as to the charges or charges against the defendant, so help you God. Thank you. Members of the jury, you can be seated. I'm going to now read the charges to you in this matter. There's 5 charges. The first is charge ID 1937947C. This states that Adam Montgomery of Manchester, New Hampshire, in the state of New Hampshire, between approximately July 1st and July 22nd, 2019, at Manchester in the county of Hillsborough aforesaid, did commit the crime of second-degree assault, in that Adam Montgomery did knowingly cause bodily injury to HM, date of birth 6/7/2014, a child under the age of 13 by striking her in the face. Said acts being contrary to the form of the statute in such case made and provided and against the peace and dignity of the state. The next charge in this matter is charge ID 2027112C, and this states that Adam Montgomery of Manchester in the state of New Hampshire, on or about December 7th, 2019, at Manchester in the county of Hillsborough aforesaid, did commit the crime of second-degree murder, in that Adam Montgomery did recklessly cause the death of Harmony Montgomery, date of birth 6/7/2014, a person under 13 years of age, under circumstances manifesting an extreme indifference to the value of human life, by repeatedly striking Harmony Montgomery on the head with a closed fist. Said acts being contrary to the form of the statute in such case made and provided and against the peace and dignity of the state. The next charge is charge ID 2027113C, and this states that Adam Montgomery of Manchester in the state of New Hampshire, between approximately December 7th, 2019 and March 4th, 2020, at Manchester in the county of Hillsborough aforesaid, did commit the crime of falsifying physical evidence, in that Adam Montgomery, believing that an official proceeding, as defined in RSA 641:1, Roman numeral 2, or an investigation was pending or about to be instituted, did purposely alter, destroy, conceal, or remove the body of Harmony Montgomery with a purpose to impair its verity or availability in such proceeding or investigation. Said acts being contrary to the form of the statute, in such case made and provided and against the peace and dignity of the state. The next charge in this matter is charge ID 2027114C, and this states that Adam Montgomery of Manchester, New Hampshire, at Manchester, between December 7th, 2019 and March 4th, 2020, did commit the offense of abuse of a corpse, in that the defendant did purposely and unlawfully removed, concealed, or destroyed the corpse of Harmony Montgomery or any part thereof. And this is against the peace and dignity of the state. And then the last charge is charge ID 202-7115C. And this states that Adam Montgomery of Manchester in the state of New Hampshire between approximately December 7th, 2019 and January 4th, 2022 at Manchester in the county of Hillsborough aforesaid did commit the crime of tampering with witnesses and informants, in that Adam Montgomery, believing that an official proceeding as defined in RSA 641:1 Roman numeral 2 or investigation was pending or about to be instituted, did purposely attempt to induce or otherwise cause Kayla Montgomery to testify or inform falsely. Said acts being contrary to the form of the statute in such case made and provided and against the peace and dignity of the state. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, the defendant, Adam Montgomery, has been arraigned on these charges and he has pleaded not guilty. And of this, he puts himself upon his country for trial, which country you are. Assistant Attorneys General Benjamin Agati and Christopher Knowles for the state have joined the issue, and you are to say by your verdict if the defendant, Adam Montgomery, is guilty of the crimes whereof he stands indicted or not guilty. Hearken to the evidence. Thank you.
Members of the jury, shortly you will hear opening statements by counsel. Before that, I'm going to give you some general instructions as to the law that applies to this case and some other matters, which will give you some guidance as you consider the evidence in this case. After you have heard the evidence and you have heard closing arguments, you will hear further instructions from the court, and then you will retire to the jury deliberation room to decide your verdict. You should consider all of the instructions I give you, both now and at the end of the case as a whole, and not single out one particular instruction as stating the law. You will also have written copies of my instructions with you in the jury deliberation room. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is not a memory test. What I ask of you now is just listen carefully to the instructions that I give to you. You will have as many copies as you like in the deliberation room when it comes to decide your verdict. So you will have written copies of both the instructions that I give you now, as well as the ones that I give you at the end of the case as a whole. And every juror can have one available to them. So please just listen carefully now as I give you these instructions. The function of the court and the jury. In order to reach a fair and just verdict, you must understand and follow the law as I explain it to you. For example, you have to understand the definitions of the crimes with which the defendant is charged. You have to understand how convinced one way or the other you should be before deciding your verdict. You have to understand what to consider in deciding whether to believe a particular witness. These instructions will explain the law as to these and other matters so that you can reach a fair and just verdict. It is your duty as jurors to follow all of the instructions I'm about to give you. Regardless of any opinion you may have as to what the law ought to be, the law as I explain it to you is the law you must follow in reaching your verdict. It is up to you to decide the facts. You must decide the facts solely from the evidence in this trial. You must apply the law given to you in these instructions to the facts, and in this way reach a fair and just verdict. You should decide the facts without prejudice, without fear, and without sympathy. You should decide this case based solely on the evidence presented and the law as I explain it to you. The evidence in the case. In deciding this case, you should consider only the evidence in the case. The evidence consists of testimony under oath of the witnesses, exhibits which have been admitted into evidence, facts of which I take judicial notice, and stipulations of certain facts. During the trial, the lawyers may make objections. The lawyers are supposed to object when they believe that certain evidence is not admissible. If I sustain an objection or exclude any evidence, you must not guess as to what the answer or evidence would have been. If I order that a question and answer be stricken from the record, you must not consider either the question or the answer as evidence. A judge is required to be neutral, and I am in fact neutral. If during this trial or at any point during these proceedings you believe that I have expressed or suggested an opinion as to the facts in my rulings, you should ignore that belief. It is up to you alone to decide the facts. In short, you should consider only the legally admissible evidence in deciding this case, that is, the testimony of the witnesses, the exhibits, stipulations, and facts of which I took judicial notice. We talked earlier that there will be a view in this case, and I'll give you an instruction on the view later, but the view is also evidence in the case, but you'll hear an instruction on that in a little bit. The indictments are not evidence. The fact that the defendant has been arrested and indicted is not evidence of guilt. The indictments are simply a way of giving the defendant notice of the charges. The indictments are a formal way of accusing the defendant of a crime in order to bring the defendant to trial. You must not consider the indictments as evidence of guilt. Multiple indictments, one defendant. Each of the indictments against the defendant constitutes a separate offense. You must consider each indictment separately and determine whether the state has proven the defendant's guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. The fact that you may find the defendant guilty or not guilty on one of the indictments should not influence your verdict with respect to the other indictments. The possible punishment the defendant may receive if you return a guilty verdict should not influence your decision. The duty of imposing sentence is solely for the judge. You should base your verdict only on the evidence and the law without considering the possible punishment. The presumption of innocence. As you were instructed during the general selection process, there is a presumption of innocence that applies and continues throughout this trial until the state convinces you beyond a reasonable doubt that the defendant is guilty of each and every element of the offenses with which he has been charged. And the defendant has no obligation whatsoever to prove his innocence in this matter. And that includes the right not to testify if he so chooses. You are not allowed to draw any unfavorable, adverse, or negative inference if the defendant does not take the stand in this matter. The jury's recollection controls. You will hear the lawyers discuss the facts and the law in their opening statements and closing arguments to you. These statements and arguments are not evidence. Their purpose is to help you understand the evidence and the law. If the lawyers have stated the law differently from the law as I explain it to you in these instructions, then you must follow these instructions and ignore the statements of the lawyers. If the lawyers state the evidence differently from how you recall it, then you should follow your own memory of what the evidence was. Direct and circumstantial evidence. There are two kinds of evidence, direct and circumstantial. Direct evidence is direct proof of a fact, such as the testimony or statement of a person about what the person saw, heard, or did. Circumstantial evidence is indirect evidence, that is, proof of a chain of facts from which you could find that another fact exists, although it has not been proved directly. For example, if you look outside and see water droplets falling from the sky, that is direct evidence that it's raining. But if you look out the window at night and the ground is dry, and again the next morning and the ground is wet, that is indirect or circumstantial evidence that it rained during the night. By circumstantial evidence, I simply mean that you may infer the ultimate fact from another fact shown. You should feel free to reach reasonable conclusions from proven facts. Conversely, you may not reach conclusions based on facts that have not been proved. In the rain example, wet ground alone may support an inference that it rained during the night. But in the absence of additional evidence, it will not necessarily support inferences about how much rain fell or for how long a period of time. You should consider both kinds of evidence. You are permitted to give equal weight to both, but it is for you to decide how much weight to give any evidence, whether it be direct or circumstantial. However, to be sufficient to establish guilt beyond a reasonable doubt, circumstantial evidence must exclude all other rational conclusions. This means that if from the circumstantial evidence it is rational to arrive at two conclusions, one consistent with guilt and one consistent with innocence, then you must choose the rational conclusion consistent with innocence. In determining whether all rational conclusions other than guilt have been excluded, you should not consider any item of circumstantial evidence in isolation. Rather, you should consider each item of circumstantial evidence in the context of all of the other evidence, which includes all other circumstantial evidence and direct evidence. You must understand, however, that this circumstantial evidence rule does not apply to direct evidence. If there is a conflict between two or more witnesses who offer direct evidence concerning certain facts, you should resolve the conflict. For example, suppose there are two eyewitnesses to a crime, and one testifies that the defendant committed the crime, and the other testifies that the defendant did not commit the crime. This presents a situation where there is a conflict in direct evidence. In this situation, you, the jury, should resolve the conflict and must decide whether, based upon all of the evidence, the state has proved the defendant's guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. You should consider all of the direct and circumstantial evidence in the case, as well as any reasonable inferences you draw therefrom, in deciding whether the state has proved all of the elements of the crime beyond a reasonable doubt. The credibility of witnesses. In deciding this case, you must decide the credibility of witnesses. That is, it is up to you to decide who to believe. If there is any conflict between the witnesses, then you must resolve the conflict. Simply because a witness has taken an oath to tell the truth does not mean that you have to accept the testimony as true. Use your common sense and judgment. Consider factors you use in deciding important issues in your everyday lives. For example, you may consider the following: the witness's attitude, behavior, and appearance on the stand, and the way the witness testifies. The witness's age, intelligence, and experience. The witness's opportunity and ability to see or hear the things about which the witness testifies. The accuracy of the witness's memory. Any motive of the witness not to tell the truth. Any interest that a witness has in the outcome of the case. Any bias of the witness, or friendship or animosity the witness may have for or against any of the other people in the case. The consistency or inconsistency of the witness's testimony. Whether or not what the witness says appears reasonable or unreasonable. Whether what the witness says is consistent or inconsistent with the testimony of other witnesses or with statements the witness made at another time. In deciding which witness to believe and how much of their testimony to believe, you should consider both the direct and cross-examination of the witnesses. If you believe that part of a witness's testimony is false, you may choose to distrust other parts also, but you are not required to do so. Inconsistencies and contradictions within a witness's testimony or between witnesses do not necessarily mean that you should disbelieve the witness. It is possible for honest people to witness the same event and see or hear things differently. You should evaluate inconsistencies and contradictions and determine whether they are important or unimportant. You need not believe any witness even though the testimony is uncontradicted. Nor are you required to accept testimony as true because some or even all of the witnesses agree with each other. You may find the testimony of one witness or of a few witnesses more persuasive than the testimony of a larger number. These principles apply to all witnesses, whether they are ordinary citizens, police officers, experts, or otherwise. In short, you should consider the testimony of each witness and give it the weight you think it deserves. The weight to be given to the evidence should be determined by the quality of the evidence, not the quantity. It is not the number of witnesses or the quantity of the evidence, but the quality of the evidence that is important. The judge decides what is admissible. Testimony, writing, objects, and other things presented during the trial are evidence only if the judge accepts them as evidence. Throughout the trial, I may rule on whether certain evidence was admissible or not admissible. These are legal decisions which do not concern you because only the judge is permitted to decide legal questions. I may make 3 types of legal decisions with regard to the evidence. First, I may stop some information from being presented at all. You are not to imagine what that information might have been had I allowed it to be presented. Second, I may rule that some information was not admissible after it was presented to you. You are to ignore this information and not use it as evidence. Finally, I may allow some information to be entered as evidence after hearing objections by one of the lawyers. You are not to give such evidence any special importance as a result of my ruling. It is not my duty, and I do not try to determine whether the evidence is important when I make my rulings. The burden of proof and reasonable doubt. Now, I've addressed what you should not consider and what you should consider in reaching a verdict. I'm now going to discuss with you how convinced one way or the other you must be, and this is referred to as the burden of proof. Under our constitutions, all defendants in criminal cases are presumed to be innocent until proven guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. The burden of proving guilt is entirely on the state. The defendant does not have to prove his innocence. As I told you earlier, the defendant enters the courtroom as an innocent person, and you must consider him to be an innocent person until the state convinces you beyond a reasonable doubt that he is guilty of every element of the alleged offense. If after all of the evidence and arguments, you have a reasonable doubt as to the defendant having committed any one or more elements of the offense, then you must find him not guilty. Now, finally, ladies and gentlemen, a reasonable doubt is what the words would ordinarily imply. The use of the word reasonable means simply that the doubt must be reasonable rather than unreasonable. It must be a doubt based upon reason. It is not a frivolous or fanciful doubt, nor is it one that can easily be explained away. Rather, it is such a doubt based on reason as remains after consideration of all of the evidence that the state has offered against it. The test you must use is this: if you have a reasonable doubt as to whether the state has proven any one or more elements of the crime charged, you must find the defendant not guilty. However, if you find the state has proven all of the elements of the charged offense beyond a reasonable doubt, you should find the defendant guilty. With respect to the final instructions regarding the offenses, I will wait until the end of the trial and after closing arguments and discuss it with you at that time. So as I said, I will give you another set of instructions after closing arguments at the end of this case. You will have all of these instructions with you in the deliberation room when it comes time to decide your verdict. As I said to you earlier, there's a form of this instruction that I'm about to give you. We call it the communication instruction that I'll give you. I've given you some of it before, and I'll continue to give it throughout the trial. Please listen very carefully. Do not discuss the case at all, not with the other members of the jury or with anyone else, until jury deliberations start at the end of the trial after all of the evidence and final arguments have been presented. Please keep an open mind until you have heard all of the evidence in the case. During the course of trial, please take care to avoid any contact with any persons involved in the case, the lawyers, the witnesses, and the parties. So I remind you, ladies and gentlemen, as you come in and out of the courthouse, you may see the lawyers or other people involved in the case. They have been instructed that they are not to communicate with you, so they are not being rude if they don't acknowledge your presence or smile at you or say hello as you may pass them in the hallways. But you must, they are required to avoid any contact with you, and you are required to avoid any contact with them. So no contact with anyone involved in the case, please. Also, please be sure to avoid any television, radio, online, or newspaper coverage of this case. I anticipate that there will be media coverage of this case. As I indicated earlier, you know that there are cameras in the courtroom. They have been instructed that they are not to take pictures of the jurors in the case, but I expect that there will be media coverage. You are instructed that you must not read any articles or view any media coverage on television, online, or elsewhere. So avoid your local papers, have somebody pull the international section if you want, but don't watch any media coverage of the case, okay? You are instructed to turn off any notification or banners that come through your smartphone, computers, smartwatches, or other devices, okay? Finally, do not conduct any research or investigation of your own. You must render your verdict based solely on the evidence submitted at trial. So don't look up the law. That will be given to you in the court's instructions. Don't drive by any locations. Don't look up any names. Don't look anybody up on social media. It is critically important that your verdict in this case is based exclusively on the evidence that's presented at trial. Our trial day will generally go from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. We will also generally take a mid-morning and mid-afternoon break. I try to look at sort of natural break points in the case to determine when those breaks happen. But generally we'll have a mid-afternoon, mid-morning break, and we'll also have a lunch break. The court has asked you to put your cell phones in a box in the jury deliberation room. Please make sure they are silenced or turned off altogether. As I said to you, you will be permitted to check your phones when you are on break. However, you are not to look at any news reporting or media coverage of this case, as I have already told you. Additionally, you are not permitted to take notes of any kind, not on paper nor on your phones. The reason for this is that it is important that your recollection of the evidence is what controls. Sometimes, if notes are taken, they can be given undue weight, and it's important that when it comes time to deliberate, you are using your individual and collective memories about the evidence, and one note or one written recollection doesn't control. You should also be aware that there will be no transcript available to you when it comes time to deliberate. So although we have our excellent court monitors here, and there's an audio recording that is not available to the jurors, and there will be no transcript. So your individual and collective recollection is what will control as you go into the deliberations. Therefore, please listen carefully to the evidence as it is presented. If during the course of this trial you have any questions or problems, you become thirsty or need anything else, just get the court officer's attention, either of our court officers or my attention, so that we can assist you. If at any time during the trial you cannot hear, please raise your hand so that I can ask the witness or the lawyers to speak up. That goes as well for any monitors. If you cannot see, please do let us know. It is important that you are viewing and listening to all of the evidence as it's presented. So, ladies and gentlemen, it is now 20 of. I had indicated to you earlier that I thought we would go right into opening statements, but based on what I anticipate the length of the opening statements will be, I think that would hold your lunch off for quite a long time. So after speaking with the lawyers, I think what we're going to do is we'll take an early lunch break. So we're going to break now. Please come back at in 1 hour, so 20 to 1, and then we'll move directly into opening statements. So don't talk about the case, not with each other, not with anybody else. Don't look up any media. Don't do any independent research. And I will see you in an hour after lunch. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. All rise for the jurors. You can be seated. Do you have anything preliminary, or do you want to just come back at 12:30, or what would you like to do?
Just thinking, Your Honor, with regards to the arrangements for the bus. Just trying to figure out what the time is and what we can do, hopefully, with them to, because we're shifting the times back, so maybe if we could touch on that.
Sure.
Okay, y'all. I'm here until the hubby brings the food to me because I am starving. I haven't ate good for the last 3 days. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and throw the link out. If anybody wants to come up, you're more than welcome. And Betty Joe, yes, I will be sure to thank you. Let's see if I can find some more news on this Adam Montgomery trial and what else to be expecting while this trial is going on. I can't believe he didn't show up today. Okay, y'all, I'm back. Tip, they said that they were going to break for an hour, so it was 11:40 Eastern time, so they should be back. It's 12:11 there now. 30 more minutes. They should be back. All right, I'm gonna pull this article up real quick and just go over it. It came out yesterday. Oh shit, sorry. Hold on one second. I've got to enlarge this a little bit. And it's just basically what to know ahead of the murder trial of Adam Montgomery, accused of murdering his daughter, Harmony. And it's everybody who's in here, y'all pretty well caught up on this case. Okay, Tiff. Okay, Pokey Dots, no problem. And yes, I'm doing all right. I still feel like crap, but I'm doing all right other than that. All right, so I'm going to read over this article real quick, and it just says prosecutors allege that Adam Montgomery abused his young daughter Harmony to death in 2019, and his trial is set to begin this week. And it's hard to believe, y'all, that baby would have been 10 years old this year. She had her entire life ahead of her, and he just took it away like that. All right, so it says jury selection began Tuesday in the trial of Adam Montgomery, more than 4 years after authorities alleged that he abused his young daughter, Harmony, to death. And once again, I'm changing some of the words in here. So Montgomery, formerly of Manchester, New Hampshire, is charged with second-degree murder, a second-degree assault, witness tampering, falsifying physical evidence, and abuse of a corpse in connection with Harmony's death. He has pleaded not guilty. Exactly, Betty Jo. Just why not let her, if he couldn't take care of her, or if he was getting aggravated with her, whatever the reasoning is that he had in his mind, why not just let her go stay with family members instead of doing what he done to her? So Harmony's body has never been found. The case garnered national attention when Harmony was reported missing in late 2021, prompting a massive search for the young girl and an examination of apparent lapses in the Massachusetts and New Hampshire child welfare systems. Here is what to know before the trial gets underway. Exactly, Tiff. Let's see, if you couldn't handle her, you should. Exactly. I mean, if you couldn't find a family member that would have taken her, which I'm pretty sure he could have, then at that point, turn her over to the state. You know, anything would have been better than what happened to her. In spirit of the trees, I agree with that too. And unfortunately, that little girl had to suffer because of him being irresponsible. Okay, so it says on November the 18th, 2021, Crystal Sorey called Manchester police to tell them that she had not seen her daughter Harmony Montgomery in more than 6 months. Harmony was born in June of 2014 and was in the custody of Sorey's ex, Adam Montgomery, she told police, according to an affidavit. Sorey had lost custody of Harmony in 2018 while dealing with substance use issues. Sorey later told the Boston Globe that she had gotten sober and had been searching for her daughter since 2019 when Adam and his wife Kayla Montgomery cut off contact with her. So Sorey told police that she last saw Harmony during a FaceTime video around Easter in 2019 and that the girl seemed frightened, according to the affidavit. I know the mom had substance issues going on with her as well, but if she seemed like she was frightened, why didn't she go straight to the police at that point? So in December 2021, police worked to track down Adam by interviewing various family members. They told officers that he had previously admitted to giving Harmony a black eye around July of 2019. Investigators eventually tracked down Adam on December the 31st, 2021, sleeping with a new girlfriend in a vehicle in Manchester. Police stressed their concerns about Harmony's whereabouts, but Adam did not exhibit much emotion or reaction to this, and police wrote in the affidavit. Adam, Harmony's sole custodian at the time, was served with an order granting protective supervision of Harmony to the New Hampshire Division of Children, Youth, and Families. He allegedly refused to provide any information about Harmony's location and said to police, either arrest me or I'm leaving. That should have been a huge red flag. Huge red flag to them. Once again, this is another child who all of the adults in her life, the ones that was supposed to be protecting her, that failed her. So Adam was arrested on January the 4th, 2022, and charged with second-degree assault, interference with custody, and endangering the welfare of a child. In May of 2022, Kayla testified before a grand jury that she had last seen Harmony just after Thanksgiving in 2019 when Adam dropped Kayla off to work a shift at a Dunkin' Donuts. Kayla said that Harmony was in the car at the time and that Adam was going to bring the girl to Story, according to the affidavit. But investigators found that Kayla was not working at the Dunkin' Donuts on the day that she testified that she was, and had in fact been fired beforehand. She was arrested and admitted to lying during the testimony. Like, just everybody in this baby's life was just pieces of shit. So this is how Harmony allegedly passed away. So Kayla told police that the family was evicted from their Manchester home the day before Thanksgiving in 2019 and forced to live in a car, which we've all heard the stories. Allegedly, this is where what happened to Harmony and her passing away happened. So on December the 7th of 2019, Adam grew frustrated with his daughter because Harmony was not telling her parents when she needed to use the bathroom and was having accidents in the car, according to the affidavit. Adam struck Harmony in the head with a closed fist after each accident, Kayla told police. Welcome back, Dan. So this happened on 3 separate occasions that day while Adam was driving the car and Harmony was in the rear seat on the passenger side. So Kayla stated that after the final blow, Adam said words to the effect of, he felt something or heard something when he hit Harmony and said, I think I really hurt her this time. I think I did something. The affidavit reads, Harmony began making a moaning type noise, which went on for roughly 5 minutes, and then it stopped. At no time did anyone stop or get Harmony medical attention as a result of this assault. Hold on just 1 second, y'all. Okay, sorry about that, y'all. Tiny person. Oh, Betty Joe. Crumb and Crochet, how are you? And yeah, Crumb and Crochet, I agree. That's what I just said a few minutes ago. They all failed her. Hey, JC, how are you? All right, so later that day, the family's car broke down, and that's when, and that it was then that Kayla and Adam discovered that Harmony had passed away, according to Kayla's accounts to police. Adam allegedly went to the trunk of the car, found a duffel bag, and placed Harmony's body in the bag. And I'm going to be honest, y'all. Allegedly, Kayla doesn't know where this baby is. I don't believe her at all. I think that she knows exactly what he did with her. Whether she was placed in one place and then moved somewhere else, I think she knows all of it. And JC, that is true. They really should not. All right, so Kayla stated at no point did either of them have any conversation about getting any type of life-saving measures for Harmony, police wrote in the affidavit. So from then until early March of 2020, Adam and Kayla moved Harmony's body with them to various locations, according to the affidavit. After living in a neighbor's car, the couple moved in with Kayla's mother briefly. Kayla told police that during that time, Harmony's body was still in a duffel bag and was in a cooler in a common hallway of the apartment building. Hey, KK. So at the end of December 2019, Adam, Kayla, and their other children moved into a Manchester shelter. Kayla told police that the bag containing Harmony's body was brought to the shelter and that Adam stored it in a ceiling vent. Police later found evidence of decomposition in the vent, according to the affidavit. So other residents of the shelter complained of foul odors coming from the ceiling, and maintenance workers were called to check on it. Adam moved the bag containing Harmony's body to a closet while this happened, and the workers concluded that a dead animal must have been in the ceiling, according to police. This dude is just straight up, he's horrible. He is just a piece of shit. So Kayla told investigators that she brought the bag containing Harmony's body to her husband's place of work, Portland Pie Company in Manchester. She described pushing the bag containing Harmony's body in a stroller that also held two of her children, according to the affidavit. In the affidavit, police described how Kayla told them about moving Harmony's body to another apartment and how Adam has spent more than 4 hours in a bathroom with the bag containing Harmony's body before transferring it into a smaller bag. Kayla recalled smelling cleaning supplies in the bathroom, and the new bag that Adam had apparently put Harmony's body into was stored in a freezer. Adam later allegedly added lime to the bag to aid in the decomposition. And this is where I was saying that once this trial does officially kick off and we get past opening statements, and more than likely during the open statements, you're going to hear all this, but all these evidence will be showed in court. Pictures and stuff like that. There may be some that we have not seen online, because there are pictures of this bathroom that she's talking about that he spent all these hours in with the body and all that. So just a heads up, it could very well be graphic and possibly triggering for some people. All right, so in March of 2020, Adam allegedly rented a U-Haul van with the help of a friend in order to dispose of his daughter's body. So where is this friend at? The friend had to know something was up and where they took this little girl's remains. Transportation records obtained by investigators showed that the van was traveling north on Tobin Bridge between Boston and Chelsea at 4:44 a.m. A minute later, toll cameras recorded it traveling south on the bridge, according to the affidavit. The van was then seen traveling north on the bridge at 5:25 a.m. When he returned, he seemed very tired, and he said words to the effect of, "It's done," Kayla told investigators, according to the affidavit. I fully believe she was in the van. She knows exactly where that little girl is. All right, so this will be talking about Adam's criminal history. So in 2007, when Adam was 17, he faced charges of menacing a 15-year-old girl with a knife and pleaded guilty, the Globe reported. He has a black soul, the victim in that incident told the paper. In 2014, 6 months before Harmony was born, Haverhill police in Massachusetts were called to the scene of a shooting. A man who had been shot in the face told investigators that Adam had met up with him to buy substances. But when the man produced the drugs, Adam allegedly pulled a gun out and tried to rob him. The man tried to grab the gun and it went off, the Globe had reported. Adam was tracked down and found with a bullet wound in his arm, and he was charged with armed robbery, armed assault to murder, carrying a firearm without a license, and discharging a firearm within 500 feet of a building. He was ordered to serve an 18-month suspended sentence concurrently with an unrelated case. Adam was incarcerated when his daughter was born and first met her when she was 6 months old during a supervised visitation at the prison, according to the 2022 report from the Manchester office of the Child Advocate. The report found a series of failures by officials in the juvenile court to protect Harmony's safety. And Dan knows she didn't. And just from the time that this baby was born, people around her didn't seem to care, didn't seem that she needed to be protected. And they just everybody, her entire life failed her. And, you know, they didn't do what they were supposed to. All right, so Adam had 2 total visits with the girl while incarcerated. He first expressed interest in being involved in raising her in September 2016, more than a year after he was released from prison, according to the report. When he was granted custody of Harmony in 2019, Adam has spent only 40 hours with her. 40 hours of her entire life, and he's given custody of her. She would have been better off in foster care. So regardless of the outcome of this murder trial, Adam will spend decades in prison. So last August, he was sentenced to serve between 15 to 30 years on each of 2 armed career criminal counts, while the prison terms to be completed consecutively. In that case, Kayla testified that Adam stole a shotgun and a rifle from an acquaintance in Manchester in 2019. The guns, who were sold to and brought back from a convicted SO, and ultimately one of the guns was discovered in the hands of an individual who was apparently trafficking in both guns and substances, a Superior Court Judge Amy B. Messer said during sentencing, according to the Globe. Adam took responsibility for the charges at that time, but denied murdering Harmony. So you probably won't believe me when I tell you that I didn't wake up one morning and choose to become an addict. I don't want to be an addict, and I will spend my time in prison utilizing it to the best of my ability to change things about myself. I could have had a meaningful life, and I blew that opportunity through drugs. But I love my daughter unconditionally, and I did not murder her, he said per the Globe. He is so trying to convince people that he did not do this, but yet he had custody of her. So if he didn't do it while he had custody of her, then where did she go? If he's not, he needs to come up with that. Who had her when she went missing if he didn't do it? SM, I believe now he's 34, 32 or 34. He's not very old at all, honestly. Either way, that baby, she really didn't have a chance. Hold on, let me see if I can find his exact age. Give me 1 second. It's either 32 or 34. I don't remember which. Oh shit, now I can't find an article that has his age. Crime and crochet, that's what I would like to know. If he's claiming he had nothing to do with it, but yet he had custody of her, then he had to have allowed her to go off with someone else who done this to her. And why didn't he question where she was at for 2 years? Hey, Lady V, I was just going to pull you up. He's 34. Thank you, Betty Jo. See, my sister or one of my cousins, maybe even my niece, would have taken her in a heartbeat. Dan, there is, I believe, a lot of people that would have taken her. I just can't imagine someone in his family or even her bio mom's family that would have taken her. All right, Lady V was trying to come up, but I don't know what happened. Here she is. Lady V, how are you?
I'm good. How are you, hon?
I'm doing all right. just waiting on this trial to get started. They haven't even done the opening statements yet because the judge decided to go ahead and go to
Can you hear me
go
all
ahead.
right with this?
Yeah, I can hear you okay.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure. I thought I'd jump up here for a bit while you were waiting.
Okay, yeah, I can hear you all right.
Oh, good.
So we only have about, if they kick off at the time that they're supposed to, about 9 to 10 minutes before they come back from lunch
Yeah.
break. So she
Yeah, I was on
basically,
my way to
you was on your way to what?
work. I'm at work.
Oh, okay.
First chance. I've been trying to get on with you for a few minutes, but
Okay. Yeah, she went through her, I guess the jury instructions or whatever, and then
yeah.
was like, well, you know, we're gonna do our mid-morning breaks and our lunch breaks and
I
then
know. I was like,
mid-afternoons.
lunch already?
And yeah, and I didn't even think about it because they're an hour ahead of me, so it's already 12:30 up there. So
Oh, yeah, I hadn't thought about that.
and so she went ahead because she said if they went into opening statements, then they're gonna be probably lengthy, and so it will push the lunch break back later. So she just went ahead and did the lunch break, and then uh, they'll go into opening statements once they come back. So maybe he will be allowed to spend 4 hours cleaning his new cell. I did not know, y'all, that he had only spent 40 hours with that baby before he was given custody of her.
What?
Adam
Seriously?
Montgomery. Yeah, that's what the article that I was just reading, because it was talking
Oh, I
about.
missed it.
It was basically bringing, like, you know, up to date on everything that's happened in the case
Hmm.
before the trial starts. And yeah, it was talking about that, you know, he was in prison when she was born, and he had
Right.
2 visits with her while he was still in prison. He finally got to meet her. I think it said she was 6 months old the first time he met her, and he had only spent a total of 40 hours with her when he was given custody of her.
Oh, yes, I knew that.
That is
I,
crazy.
I can't believe that they gave him custody of her with that
I
little
mean,
and with the reason why he couldn't spend time with her.
well, I
And
mean,
he had it.
he had substances problems. The mom had them as well. So why give either one of them custody?
Yep.
Why not try to find a family member that could have taken her?
Yeah, I don't understand that on either side.
No, everybody that was an adult that was in this baby's life failed her from the time she was born up until she passed away. And this crap of Kayla saying, oh, you know, he took her and come back and said it's done and all this and that, like she doesn't know where her body is. I just don't believe that she doesn't know. I really
I
don't.
don't really either. I really don't either. And they got her on some kind of medication, I think. I wonder if she's going to be on it this time. Hey, Betty Joe.
Hello.
Betty Joe, how are you
Wasn't
feeling?
a little better. I still cough, but
Mm-hmm.
Hey, I'm serious. Take that half a lemon juice and squeeze the juice out of it. Put 2 teaspoons of thyme, fresh thyme, add some honey in a cup like a hot toddy, and it really
right.
does help.
I'll have to try that.
Hey, is this a leap year?
Yes.
Yes, my grandbaby's birthday is the 29th.
Yeah.
What I was going to say is, wasn't her baby brother placed with the two guys that wanted to adopt him?
Yeah, I think
Um,
so.
And didn't she stay there as
Oh, I
well?
don't know about adopting.
I know that she has a brother that has, I believe, already been adopted by somebody else, and it seems like I have seen them. Is his name the brother Jameson? Is that his name?
I think so.
Because I've
Where the
seen
two
Yeah, I
them.
where the
think
two
so.
guys adopted him.
I believe so, because it seems like I had seen one of them post on Twitter like a few days ago saying that justice is finally about to come for Harmony,
Right.
and to please keep Jameson in everyone's prayers. While, but did she have, who was the little girl that had the two brothers? Was that Harmony?
I don't know. But I remember
Well,
her.
there were two little boys in the car with them that didn't Adam and Kayla have a couple?
Yeah, I
One or
think so. I think she had like.
I know there
I'm
were
not.
two boys in there with her.
Because I remember seeing a picture of two little boys, and I don't remember if it was for their sister's birthday or who it, and it
I know
wasn't,
they
it
were
wasn't,
Kayla's.
okay, and it wasn't Summers brothers. This was, I
No,
remember them bringing, they bought flowers and I think some balloons. And I don't remember if it was for a birthday or, and it may not be Harmony's case. It may be another case, but I do remember two boys that their sister had passed away.
Yeah,
Hey, Luna.
I know there were two little boys in the car with him that were Kayla's, and I think at least one of them, if not both of them, are also Adam's. Or I don't
I
know.
think
I'm kind of unclear on that because
I
sometimes I
think
hear
so.
that.
I think Lady B's right because the one that was adopted by the two guys was Harmony's real brother because it was from
Right,
her mom and Adam,
right.
and she couldn't take care of him because she had problems too.
Mhm.
So they wanted to adopt, and
Well, why not let Harmony?
well, see, she was there with him, but Adam was throwing a fit about that's his daughter. He don't want her there.
And look what he did to his daughter.
Exactly.
Yep, that guy's just a horrible person.
Yeah, he's total piece of shit for
Instead
real.
of leaving her right where she was, safe, taken care of, he did what he did just so he could do this.
Right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
He
And
just
it's
wanted the money. He just wanted her money. That's all he wanted. He wanted her money from the state.
Yep.
That's what it boils down to.
yeah.
Well, I hope he gets what he deserves, every little bit of it,
Yep, me
Yeah,
too.
for sure.
from
And
the
Hey,
beat
JC.
from the
Hi.
beat downs in prison to whatever.
yeah. Um,
I was just gonna say, do you guys remember at the very beginning of all this that like people didn't think that he had anything to do with it? And
Oh,
then
I never heard that.
No, they
well,
always said
I
he
th-
had something.
I think it was
I
always
thought,
possible, but it was never really like he was never really at the forefront. I don't know. But then like he agreed to do an interview or something,
I don't
and
remember that at all.
in the interview just let his interview that he did, just at least for me, the interview didn't, it left more questions than answers,
mhm.
because I remember, you know, um listening to his interview, and he wasn't things just were not adding up at all. And then I'm
I
like,
don't know. I remember thinking he did it from the beginning myself,
"Nah,
but maybe I'm wrong.
I think this guy did it."
Well, I'm curious to know who this friend is that was with him in the U-Haul van.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to know that part.
Because, like, where is this friend going to be a witness in this trial? Who is it? I still think that Kayla was with them in that van, or he told her something. I don't think it's just, oh, well, this is what happened, but I don't know where he took her. He just came
Yeah.
in and said it's done. Like, you had to have known what he was going to do for him just to. I can't just come in and tell Betty Joe, hey, Betty Joe, it's done, and you not know what
Right,
I'm
What
talking
you're
exactly.
about.
talking about, yeah.
Right.
Exactly. I would be like, what? Wait, what's
Exactly.
done?
What's
Hmm.
done?
So I think she knows everything.
Oh,
What
yeah.
was his reasoning? Like, what's his?
'Cause
He
he's the
didn't want
worst
her
piece of
to know
crap.
where she was in case, this
No,
like
what's
this
his
happened.
reasoning for doing it?
He's a worthless piece of crap.
Yeah,
Yeah, he just likes
they were living in a car, and Harmony was in the back seat, and she was having bathroom accidents in the back seat of the car.
Okay.
And every time she would do it, according to Kayla, he would hit her.
Yeah.
And this last time when he done it, Kayla claims that he says, I think I've done something. I heard or felt something when he hit her. And she was making these noises, and they didn't go get her help.
Yeah, he said, I think I really hurt her this time.
Uh-huh.
I mean, kids that age are going to have accidents.
Right.
Well, you're living in a car. The boys can step outside and go potty very
Right.
easily. Girls can't.
Exactly.
Right.
I mean, that'd be like me having, because, my granddaughter, she's potty trained.
Uh-huh.
She did it on her own. You can't force them. Hitting them is not going to work.
No. And living in a
No.
car, if you don't stop somewhere and take the child in and let them use the restroom, they can't hold it but for so long.
Yeah. And then they're just going to do it.
Right.
And let me tell you, there's been times that
They don't have a lot of control.
Accidents happen.
Right.
And the fear too that she had of him too didn't help, I'm sure.
No.
Right.
Because every time he turned around, he smacked her for using the bathroom on herself.
Right.
That's not teaching him nothing.
Okay, they're coming back.
Into him.
Hold on, let me get it pulled back up here, y'all. One
That's
second.
just fear.
Wait, where did the sound go? Oh, shit. Oh, that was on the other one. So it should be coming up here in just a second because the other one that I have pulled up.
That's it was all over the potty training thing. Well, you can't potty train a child living in a car.
I don't think it was totally just over the potty training, honestly.
No,
I think he wanted her money, he didn't want to deal with her. That's what I think.
Yep, that's all it was.
Yeah, because didn't they collect it still like 2 years after?
Oh yeah, afterwards. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I say. So Luna says that his friend is on the witness list and that he kept her SSI benefits while she was gone for 2 years.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
So, okay, so y'all, as soon as this comes up, if y'all want to stay up on panel, y'all can, but just mute out.
Counselor, can you approach for just a minute, please?
Okay, I don't know how long they're going to have their sound off, but Dan made a comment that they can check the mileage on the U-Haul to estimate how far he traveled. And that is true. But
the problem is where did he go? Yeah, they did. I think it's like 130 or 150 miles, something like that.
Yeah,
but they don't know if
they have him on that bridge also. They have the cameras that was on the bridge. But the thing is, though, he could have handed her off to someone else.
Yeah, exactly.
Or gotten a car with someone else. So, KK, they have it right now. They've got the sound cut for some reason.
KKK. They don't know. Was that all stopping? Did he stop? Did he drive that far and then put her someplace? I mean, they have no idea where, because it sounds like he might have deposited things here and there instead of just in one spot.
Yeah, because they had him going a certain direction on the bridge, and then later on the opposite direction. I think like an hour or so later. So he could have went anywhere within that vicinity of that bridge within. I think it was like an hour in between that they called him on it.
Right.
Dan, it was in that article that I just read. It had the name of the bridge. And Crime and Crochet, no, there's no alarm going off near me. I don't know what they're doing, but they've got it. They've got the sound cut for some reason. So hopefully it'll come back up in just a second. Wait, Lady B, are you talking? Okay, I thought I heard her saying something, and it sounded like she was way off. Let me see if this is the article that I just read to get the name of that bridge. Where did I read that at? Hold on, Dan. I'm looking for the name of the bridge. Oh, shit. Where did it go? Okay, so, Dan, it says here that the van was traveling north on the Tobin Bridge between Boston and Chelsea at 4:44 a.m. A minute later, toll cameras recorded the van traveling south on the bridge. And then the van was seen traveling north on the bridge at 5:25 a.m. So the Tobin Bridge. Hey, Big Al, how are you? Let's see, there's some alarm sound when your mic is open. I don't know what that could be.
I don't hear
Crime and
no.
Crochet?
I don't hear no alarm.
I don't hear anything.
But I'd have made him be in court. Ain't no way
Yeah.
I'd let him sit in a jail cell while this is all going on.
I mean,
Yeah, why isn't he there?
he
Do we
waived his
know?
rights. Yeah, it's something about he waived his rights not to be there when that Betty Joe.
Is it just today or
Yeah, it
period?
was something about he waived his right to be there.
I mean, for the whole trial?
I don't know if it's the whole trial or just today.
I don't think a judge would allow him to be out the entire trial.
I wouldn't think so. I remember them discussing something like that. But
Yeah, I don't know if it's just for today.
Yeah, he should have been there. This is his trial. He did
Yep.
this.
You gotta
So,
face the music, dude. I mean,
right.
that
consequences
little
of
girl
your
deserves so
actions.
much more.
Yep.
She did not deserve this.
No, I don't know why the judge didn't make him show up, but he should have been there. I mean, he claims his innocence. Well, if you're so innocent, then
Exactly. Then sit there through it all.
exactly, you should be there through the entire thing.
Yep. Whatever evidence they show, whatever pictures they show, whatever.
Yeah.
You should have to
You
sit
should be
there and
there
look at it
watching
all.
Yep. Let's see. I keep muting my TV and the sound stops. Unless you're hearing my air conditioner in the background, Crime and Crochet, it could be that.
I don't even hear that.
No, I don't either.
Yeah,
Now I
don't know.
am cutting some stuff, but
Thank you, Big Al.
I'm at work.
Yeah, I don't hear anything. The only thing I could think of would be the air conditioner. I don't hear anything else. Good Lord, they've still got the sound cut on this. What the heck?
Huh.
What are they doing?
Let me check this other.
Are the lawyers in there?
Well, I thought that I heard the judge say something a minute ago whenever they had it unmuted, and then they cut the sounds.
Yeah, the judge was saying something and they cut the sound.
Huh.
I thought I heard her say something about everybody please stand, and then the sound cut. But she may be talking to the jury about something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So I was not feeling well last night, but so I heard that Crumley was guilty, which I personally think is the right way to go on that one.
She was found guilty, and I honestly don't think that her husband, when his trial starts, I don't think it's going to be a different outcome. I think he's going to be found guilty as well.
Oh, I agree with that.
I mean, he is the one that bought the weapon.
Yep.
So.
Oh, she just came off as.
Sorry, I had to mute for a second. So yeah, like I said, I don't think his is going to turn out much different. And
I don't either.
Well, his trial is supposed to start March the 5th, but I had asked everyone last night because, Major John Kaler's trial starts on the 4th of March. Which one would they rather watch? And everybody would much rather watch Major John Kaler's case.
Oh, yeah.
His trial, if it is, which I do believe it should be live streamed. It is in Idaho, and hopefully the judge will just, like Judge and Judge Boyce is doing, and use his YouTube channel to stream the trial. So I guess if it is live streamed, then that's what I will do.
Yeah, I would rather. Yeah, I'd rather see that one too.
Yeah,
I think we can watch his on our own.
Right. Go ahead, Betty Jo.
I said I think we should have a BK trial going on.
Yes, I would much rather have.
Oh yeah.
Her child, but I mean, right now we have to be patient with it.
Out of our circle of control.
I watched that thing on Paramount.
I haven't watched it.
I wanted to smash my TV.
I did not watch it.
But somebody said last night that it wasn't nothing to it.
It's not. It's stupid. It's their opinions. They're trying to pass it off like they detectives.
Is this the ones where the YouTubers were talking?
Yes.
Talking?
Yeah.
Oh Lord God.
I wanted to reach through my
TV.
I
think I'll leave that one alone.
And I just wanted to smash it. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna.
There's one particular one I would definitely want to smack, so I think I'll do the same thing.
Yeah, that's why I'm keeping my opinion to myself about it, because I only watched the trailer. I think Avery's the one that sent the trailer to me. And I saw that, and I was just like, I mean, damn.
You're not missing nothing.
Yeah, I'm not worried about it. I know the opinions of those people.
And to be honest, whoever did this to put it on Paramount, they should be ashamed of themselves.
Agree with that one.
Making money off of this.
So Judge just left the bench. Okay, are we gonna get the sound back, people? Why does the judge leave? Why did she leave the bench?
Oh, they're standing.
But the judge ain't there.
No, she left the bench.
Oh, she's leaving.
What the hell's going on?
Uh-oh.
Oh, I hope everything's all right.
Maybe she's going to drag Adam out of his jail cell.
Hey, that would be nice.
And tell him to get himself into the courtroom. I just can't believe how small that courtroom is.
That's about as big as the one in Idaho.
Yeah, well, yeah, the one in Idaho, for some reason, it didn't look like what I was expecting it to look like. Big Al, that's what she needs to be telling him. But instead, they allowed him to waive his rights to be there today. So,
Are they
I
setting
mean,
up a
she's got
TV?
a hot mic. Yeah, probably for evidence is going to be shown.
Oh.
Let's see. This okay. Dan says this is a big courtroom for New Hampshire. Really?
I don't know. That looks kind of small to me.
I mean, I live in a small community, and our courtroom's way bigger than this.
I've seen bigger courtrooms.
Like this one, I think I counted 5 rows of seats on each side, and that was it. It's super small, especially for, you would think for a trial that's this well known as this one is, it would have
Yeah.
been in a bigger courtroom to accommodate more seating. But I mean, there honestly isn't a whole lot of people there. Maybe the judge got my memo about medieval methods. Hey, King Scarlet, how are you? Oh, man, now the judge is tracking this out. I'm ready to get this going. We have waited all this time.
That's what I mean. You wait all this time for trials, and these people want to drag it on out. Come
Yeah.
on, man. Get your stuff together.
I mean, she went and ate. What else could she possibly be doing?
She has to use the restroom.
She should have did that before she came to the bench.
I know.
I was going to say maybe her lunch just hit her.
Because that was her that was talking, right?
Yeah. And then she got
I
up.
thought so.
Okay, because I thought I heard her say, please stand up, or was it stand up or have a seat, one of the two. Okay, so what are we doing now?
I don't know what she's doing now.
Why is people leaving the courtroom?
Uh-oh.
That's weird.
So I wonder if that's family members.
It could be.
That's just weird. Who does?
That would have been, I'm thinking, probably Harmony's family.
That, or it could be they're probably witnesses that are going to be called, so they got to leave the courtroom.
I don't know.
They can't hear the opening statements.
I don't know. I don't know what's.
I have no idea.
That doesn't make sense.
Let's see. I was on Court TV Live. Was there no audio? King Scarlet, they come back from lunch, and there was audio for a second or so, and then they cut the audio.
Hey, King Scarlet.
But you'd think they'd have it so we know what's going on. We'd like to know what's
Yeah.
going on.
Yeah, we're being nosy people.
I mean, we're part of the public.
So did the family walk out with the prosecution?
Walked out with somebody.
So I'm wondering if they're going, they maybe just wanting to speak with them. I'm sure you get this started.
I mean, yeah, it is 1 o'clock.
You're not a very patient person, are you, Scarlet?
No, I'm not.
I'm not either, so.
No. Not at all.
I know where my grandbaby gets it from.
Yeah.
Because she's not patient either.
Yeah, I have never had patience at all. But I will say, while we are waiting for them to start up, the judge did let the jury know earlier when she was speaking to them that court will start every morning at 9 a.m. and go to 4 p.m. in the afternoon. They will have their mid-morning break, the lunch, and then mid-afternoon break. So that will be 8 o'clock in the morning my time to 3 p.m. in the afternoon my time. So that means I will probably go live about 7:50 to 7:55 each morning. Give it a good 5 to 10 minutes
We're back at the flag.
Before court starts. Oh dear Lord.
Yeah, you'd think they'd let us know what was going on.
Let's see, that's all we have. Yeah, Oh my God. I hate sitting here waiting. Like, I know that we're this close to it getting started. See, I wonder if Adam wants to come now that it's afternoon. I don't think it works that way. No, the judge should have been like, you're going to be in here for the whole thing.
Yeah, they should.
I mean, I get he has his rights and this and that, but I mean, he should. Anybody who is in a case like he has, they should be made to sit through the entire thing, see all of the evidence that is presented against them, no matter how hard it is to see or anything like that. They should have to sit there. See,
Well, it
did you
didn't
Ron?
do
Is he still
Jennifer
up?
Crumley any good to just sit there and bawl, so it's not like it's going to
God.
matter. To me, it just seems indifferent to the
Yeah.
situation.
Mhm. Oh. This is kind of different, though. Usually you get the state seal.
Yeah.
Let's see it. To get him a meeting. All right, King Scarlet, have a good afternoon. Well, in your
Good night.
case, good morning. So, it is what, 10 o'clock where she's at? No, 9 o'clock where she's at, where King Scarlet's at. Still early for her. They need to get started so I can finish eating. Let me see what is going on with other channels real quick. Trying to see if anybody else is live with this.
I wonder, have you looked at the recovery addict to see if I don't know whether he's covering it or not. But he always seems to know what's going on and why we're waiting on things.
No, from what I'm seeing, everybody that's live with it, they're all looking at the same thing that we're looking at, the flag at this point. Let's see, who is? I can't believe Law and Crime's not covering it. Oh my God, my internet, y'all. I don't have a signal on my phone. I cut all of my. Everybody in the house lost their Wi-Fi today except for my computer.
You're like, nobody's interfering with the.
Exactly. I tell them everybody, their phones, cut the Wi-Fi off, all the TVs are off. It's like I told them I don't need something happening where it starts buffering or whatever. So everybody lost their Wi-Fi privileges for today.
I'm back. I had to take the baby potty.
Okay. She said, no, Meta Mom, they just came back from lunch and the judge came, said something in the courtroom and then she left the bench. And
then then Harmony's family left.
Yeah, there was a whole row of people that walked out of the courtroom. So no games, no movies, nada. Yeah, which my oldest son is asleep, so I'm not really worried about him with his phone right now. But I told my youngest son, I was like, don't you touch the game, don't cut your TV on. Your phone, you better hope you get good signal because you ain't using my Wi-Fi. Ladybird, they have not started yet.
Poor kids.
They'll get over it. I mean,
they're grown adults. They can deal with it.
Yeah, they'll get over it. All I know is they better get good signal on their cell phone. So that's all I can say.
Sometimes the grown adults are the ones that are worst.
Oh, yeah.
This is true.
So I told them that I didn't want anything interfering with this. I don't want it buffering. I don't want it going down or anything like that while I'm live. So Scott, how are you?
You warned them.
So, which my oldest, he'll be asleep for several more hours. He didn't go to sleep till like 7 o'clock this morning.
Wow.
So I'm pretty sure by the time, if they go to 4 o'clock court's time, it'll be 3 o'clock my time. So,
Right.
Big Al, mine is hardwired. They're still not getting the Wi-Fi though. They can do without, just for a couple more hours. Okay, this is getting ridiculous. Just turn Wi-Fi off.
Yeah, I have to say it is kind of getting ridiculous at this point.
Well, I mean, if we keep going like we're going, the opening statements are going to run into like 5 o'clock their time.
Yeah, they'll have to take dinner break.
Yeah, well, they'll have to do. They still got the mid-afternoon break, and then if it keeps going longer than that, they might as well just take a dinner break. Wait, they said that there was a sidebar 10 to 15 minutes, and then took the family out of court. Okay, thank you, Dan. So maybe they'll hurry up. I don't know. They may be warning them about what they're going to hear if they haven't already, which I would have thought that the state would have
Already told them that.
Yeah, went ahead and warned them. And they may do that on
Yeah,
a
I would
day-by-day
have thought
basis
that'd be
anyway.
done.
That could be on a day-by-day basis also. As the trial goes on, they'll have
Yeah,
more of a
well,
concept of what's going to be shown that day. So,
right.
so I don't know. Maybe they got to be discussing something with the family, or I don't think they would have taken them out of the courtroom. Hey, Avery, how are you?
Hey, Avery, how are you feeling, hon? I can't see chat right now, though.
She came up last night. She didn't sound as bad as what she did night before last. Night before last, she sounded really bad. Last night, her voice wasn't. What I mean, you could still tell she was sick, but it wasn't as bad.
I could just get rid of this sore throat.
Do you have any cough drops?
I have cough drops, cough medicine. You name it, I got it.
Hot toddy?
I had that.
It seems like everybody that was getting sick with this crap.
I went to the
That's
doctor's.
about the only thing that I've really found that helps. That and that concoction I was telling you about.
I went to the doctor's yesterday. I got tested for all of it. The C word, the flu, strep, all came back negative.
That's what they did to my son. They swabbed him for all three, and all of his came back negative. But he had like the worst headache that he had ever felt.
And
oh, I know, I did too. Sick. I was like, that can't be right.
Yeah, I had a bad headache last night.
So I don't know if it's just something that their tests are not able to pick up, or what it is.
Seated.
Oh, here we go, y'all. So I'm on mute.
Yes.
Well, never mind. We got it for like a hot second.
They need to get their sound right.
Well, the judge came back, told everybody to sit down, and then all the attorneys went to the front, so they had to cut the sound again.
It might start today.
Oh, it's pretty bad when you go to the doctor and they're like, yeah, I don't know exactly what's wrong with you, but it's just something going around.
That's pretty much what he said. He said there's really nothing I...
Mm-hmm. I miss up for something. Tiff wouldn't surprise me.
All rise for the jurors, please.
Oh, here we go.
All right, everybody on panel mute.
You may be seated. All right, sorry for the delay, ladies and gentlemen. One thing I think you will learn as you go through this process is sometimes things go exactly as we plan, and sometimes they do not. Right now, they are not going exactly as we had previously planned. So I apologize for the delay. And there are a lot of moving parts in a trial, so sometimes we need to switch things up. So originally, I had said that we were going to come in and do opening statements. We're going to do something a little different than that. As I said, we're going to be going on a view today. So prior to a view, the lawyers will give you what's called a preview statement to give you some information about what they want you to look at and what they anticipate that you will see on the view. We're going to do that first. So I'm going to give you an instruction regarding the view. Then the state and the defense will give you their preview statements. Okay. And then we will wait for the bus to come. And when everybody's ready, we'll get on the bus and we'll go for the view. Then depending on what time it is after that and other circumstances, we'll determine whether opening statements will be this afternoon after the view or whether they'll be tomorrow. Okay. So listen carefully to this instruction. Ladies and gentlemen, we are going to begin this case with a view. We will be traveling to several locations within the city of Manchester to observe certain areas you will be hearing testimony about. The purpose of the view is to make the testimony you will hear more understandable. If you have the opportunity to look at a scene, the testimony may make more sense to you. Your obligation on the view is to look as carefully as you can and to remember what you see as well as you can. You may not ask questions. You may not take any notes or measurements. You should look carefully at what the lawyers will be pointing out to you. What you see on the view is evidence in this case. Please stay as close together as possible so that you will all be viewing the scene from approximately the same perspective. If you cannot hear or see, please call that to my attention or to the attention of one of our court officers. After the view is completed, you may not revisit the scenes on your own during trial. Also, you may not engage in any discussion among yourselves or with anyone else concerning what you see at the view. As you know, you are not to talk with each other or with anyone else about the case until the end of the trial when you are conducting your deliberations. At this time, ladies and gentlemen, counsel will have the opportunity to make their preview statements to you concerning what they expect you will be seeing on the view. Yes, you may.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Defendant. I'm to represent the state on this matter. What we're going to do, and first of all, since it's my first opportunity to talk to you as the jury, big J as opposed to the little j, let me thank you again for your time that you're going to be putting forward not only today but throughout the trial. It's very important both to society, to the government, to the citizens, and it was very, very much appreciated. The first part of your job, for the most part, is going to be taking place in this room. The vast majority of it dealing with the witnesses and the exhibits that you see. But as you just heard from Judge Messer, another part is going to be the view. This is evidence, what you're going to see today. It is going to be work on the view. You're going to have to walk around in 2 different locations, and the rest of them will require you to look out the windows of the bus to be able to take into account the neighborhoods that you were in. And I'm going to explain every place that we're going to go in just a moment, and the defense counsel will also have that same opportunity. Together, we are going to see where this happened. You're going to get to see the same places, the same locations in person that you are later on going to see and hear evidence at trial. And you've already heard, again, Judge Messer's instruction. You should consider today's view to be like evidence. In a few minutes, we are going to get on a bus, maybe not now, and we're going to see a couple different locations in Manchester. In some ways, it's going to be the beginning of a journey that you will likely never forget. This is also the last journey that Harmony Montgomery took while she was alive and where her body went afterwards. It's a journey that's into the actions of the defendant on that day and the days forward. And we're going to drive by places where Harmony was first assaulted, where she was later killed, or she was later consolidated and crushed. And then finally, the different other locations of where the defendant had her in the city. What you are going to see today is part of the evidence. Some of the locations that we're going to drive by, we are just going to pass by in the bus for a minute, and the bus is going to pull over to the side of the road. So you have an opportunity to look at that location, take in the surroundings. And on 2 of the locations, we will physically get out. One will be a parking lot, and the other one will be an intersection. We will not be going into any residences. Later on, you're going to hear testimony about different homes. We may be driving by an apartment complex today, but we will not be going inside in the actual rooms where Harmony was, or where Harmony later was kept. So we will be outside for the 2 times that we get out of the bus. So before we do that, I want to kind of start at the beginning. The first place that we're going to go to, and this is Ms. Johnson, forget my art skills, high school. We're going to start at the courthouse. And the first place that we're going to go to is we're going to go down past Elm Street. Definitely not to scale. We're going to come across Merrimack, and we're going to go up here on Market Street. And at that point, we're going to pull the bus over to the side of the road, and you're going to be able to look out, and I would say look out the right-hand side of the bus to the area of 20 Market Street. That's the location of the methadone clinic, where the defendant took Harmony that morning with the rest of the family inside the 2010 gray Chrysler Sebring. When you're there, I want you to be able to take into account just the outside of the building and also look at the neighborhood. I want you to see the number of other businesses that are nearby, the number of other cars that are nearby, the number of the amount of foot traffic that may be there while we're there. You're going to hear in opening arguments that it was at that first location outside the methadone clinic that the defendant came out from getting his medication, got into the car, and understood that Harmony had had an accident, saying words to the effect of, "Really, Harmony, again?"
Objection, Your Honor.
Approach.
Objection already?
Yep, they've already started with them.
Good Lord, like we don't know that already, huh?
And his attorney, she is very soft-spoken. You heard her when she said objection?
Yeah. Well, at least she said it without saying I'm sorry. What was it, 250 some odd times?
Oh, that's what you had said the other night.
Yeah.
See where she was later. Crime and crochet, I thought that's what he had said.
What did she write?
Where she was later consolidated and crushed. Because he was saying where
Ladies and
they were going
gentlemen,
to
that
go.
objection is neither is neither sustained or withheld. The state will clarify. Go ahead.
When we're at that location, later on, you're going to hear testimony that at that location, when Adam came out from getting his medication, your testimony that he sensed and smelled that Harmony had had the afterwards, and that's where the assaults began of striking. That's why it's important for you to look around, to see what else and who else is there, and to know what that area looks like. From there, we're going to then come back onto Elm Street, probably do a loop around, go north on Elm, then we're going to go up to Webster Street, at the top of Elm, and that's right over where you get past where you would go on the bridge, the big Brady Sullivan Tower there. We're going to take Webster Street out, and here, we're going to go out on Daniel Webster Highway. And there's a Burger King. When we get to the Burger King again, we won't be getting out of the bus. We'll be staying inside, and you'll have a chance to look at that parking lot. What the state is asking you to do is to pay close attention during that drive. How many stoplights roughly are we going through? What are the road conditions like? How long does it take to get there? You're going to hear testimony later on about that same drive. You're going to hear testimony how during that drive, the defendant's assaults continued. He continued to hit Harmony as they stopped at red lights, as they stopped at stop signs. That's why you need to pay close attention during that drive. And we're going to go out to that location. After we've had a minute or two to sit in the bus there at Burger King, and you've had a chance to see the traffic flow, see what cars are like. At that time, we're then going to turn around. We're going to come back down Webster, continue north on Elm, and then we're going to cut over to an area on West River Drive, approximately 59 West River Drive. And there, we're going to make our first stop where we get out of the buses. 59 West River Drive is one of the street locations for Colonial Village Apartments. It's right up on the, you can see poorly drawn river. It's right on the backside there. We're going to be pulling in between those buildings and going to a very large back parking lot that's behind there. This is where you get your testimony that the defendant lived in his car after they had been evicted from their Guilford Street home, and where the defendant kept Harmony and the rest of his family after they left Burger King, after he continued to hit her, and drove back there to eat his food while Harmony was moaning. We're going to hear testimony that that's where he used his drugs while Harmony died. When you're there, I'm asking you to notice the number of apartment buildings that are nearby. Look at the number of cars that are in the parking lot, how big that parking lot is. I'm also going to ask you to take notice in that back parking lot area, look towards the tree line. Look at the very back row, closest to the river, where different cars can park. Notice all of that while you're there. It's going to be more than 1 or 2 minutes. So you can get out, you can certainly walk around, take your time to really look in that area and look at the different details that are there. Also look up at the side of the building. I'd like you to know whether or not you see lights on the side of the building that illuminate that parking lot, whether there are street lights that illuminate that parking lot. So do that while you're there. Once we're done, we'll get back on the bus and we're going to drive back towards the city, back on West River Road, back to Elm, and then south to the intersection with Webster. The buses are going to pull over on the side here, and we're going to get back out here. You'll hear testimony that it was here that the defendant's Gray Sebring died, in the intersection. That it was here that where, with his family, the car stopped working, and then it was here, just before he needed to get a tow, you'll hear how he went to the back seat and found that Harmony was no longer alive. I want you to look very closely around that intersection. Look at the traffic going through that intersection, the number of people that were available at that intersection. We're also going to hear the testimony that at that time, when he realized that she was dead, that when you look at the different businesses around, I want you to remember that when later on you're hearing testimony, how his actions was to take Harmony and to stuff her in a duffel bag. You'll also hear later a trial from a tow truck driver, and you'll hear about a gas station on the corner. So while we're in the intersection, and we're not going to stand in the middle of the intersection, obviously we're going to stand on the sidewalk. But while you're there and you can move around, take note of how far away that gas station is and the short distance that the tow truck driver had to bring the car. And once we've spent enough time considering all of these, then we're going to be going to another address. You're going to hear a testimony about a lot of different addresses where the defendant brought Harmony's body afterwards. We're not going to be going to the first 2 addresses. That one that involves, you'll hear involves a deck, another one that involves a red cooler. We're not going to be here. We're not going to be driving by one on Lake Avenue as well that you'll hear testimony later on about where he stored Harmony in the ceiling. Where we're going to go is 644 Union Street. So from this intersection, we'll come back onto the buses, onto Webster, come over to Union Street, and head south. And the intersection of 644 Union Street is right at the intersection of Union and Orange. So Orange is the cross street. You're going to see two buildings. We're going to be stopping right outside here, 644 Main. Testimony that you will hear later on involves also a parking lot that's general in the back. But here, we're not going to be getting off the buses. You're not going to have to go inside. We're going to ask you to, again, look out the right-hand side of the buses and the size of the building. While you're there, we're going to ask you to please take a look at the number of apartments that are there, the number of neighbors that the defendant would have had based upon looking at those apartments. Look at the traffic, look at the lighting, look at the neighborhood. Later on, you're going to hear more testimony about that apartment and what took place in that apartment. Again, we will not be getting out of the buses. You do not have to go in that apartment. When we're done at Union Street, the buses will pull away. We'll come down to Bridge, back onto Elm, back south to Merrimack, and then back to the courthouse. I'm going to ask you to look at one last thing on this drive. As we come back to the intersection of Merrimack Street and Elm, roughly here compared to how I'm pointing right now, down at that intersection, right across the street from each other, there's the Thirsty Moose Tap House, which is right on Merrimack. Right across the street from that is a Chase Bank right now. When we drive back down Elm, and then we take that left-hand turn to come up Merrimack Street to come back to the courthouse, I'm going to ask you to look out the right-hand bus of the window. We're not going to be slowing down there. It's Elm Street, a little too busy. But I do want you to look outside that Chase Bank. In the winter of 2020, you will hear testimony that that was not a bank, that that was the Portland Pie Company, pizza shop, that that was where the defendant worked. And you're going to also hear testimony that that was where, on one occasion, he ordered his wife to bring a CMC bag containing Harmony's body and stored it inside a freezer, seen by other witnesses. So when you hear those witnesses and they talk about Portland Pie Company, we're going to be driving by that location. Again, it's a bank now. It's not a pizza place anymore. But understand where that location is to be able to better understand the testimony that you're going to hear throughout the rest of this. And let me stress again, what you see on this view is going to be evidence. The locations we're stopping at: the Habit Methadone Clinic, the Burger King up on Daniel Webster Highway, coming back to Colonial Village where we'll get out, to the intersection of Elm and Webster where we will also get out, the drive by 644 Union Street, then back to Elm and the drive by what was Portland Pie Company before we come back to the courthouse. This will be your only opportunity, as you heard from the court, to look at these places in person until the end of this trial. So take your time. If you need more time, please let the court staff know. We will stay longer in the parking lot. We will stay longer at the intersection. We have great deputies and bailiffs who will allow you to be able to explore the space in a safe manner, so that you're not going to feel like you've got traffic right on top of you or anything like that. So do please take your time. But when you listen to the testimony from the different witnesses, these are 5 of the key locations that you're going to hear. So it's important that you know what they look like in person before you hear that testimony. Based upon that, again, after you hear this and if you see all of the evidence of this case, we'll ask you to return a verdict that is just. But I would also ask you if you would please do also pay close attention to defense counsel's comments about the view, because again, the more observations that you can make on today's view, the better it will be for you to understand the testimony you see later on. And it's a one-only shot. Okay? Thank you very much. Thank you.
Good afternoon.
This is where the trial really begins for you, and you literally step into it. You step onto the bus, you go to places. These places are exhibits of your mind. These places in your mind, you apply to everything else that you hear, see, and consider in this case. The state said that this was the last journey that Harmony made. This is where the dispute starts. This is not the journey that Harmony made, but this will be the journey that we make today. And when we leave here and we go to Merrimack Street, that's a clinic. And it is a clinic that you'll hear testimony that Adam and Kayla frequented all the time, or quite a bit. And that when you're there, I want you to look. We can't recreate what was happening on particular days or particular weeks, who might have been coming and going at what time. So you actually can only look around and see the exposure. What is the parking there? What can you see? What is exposed? What is hidden? And then apply the evidence that you hear about events that may have occurred there, and consider, could this have happened? Put your mind to the testimony and apply it. This is what I saw. This is what I remember. This is what the witness is saying. It is your evidence, but it's evidence in the case. Then you'll go from the clinic to Burger King. And at Burger King, that's really very, very important to look at that entire layout. Again, we can't recreate the amount of traffic that was on a particular day or a week. We can't recreate any of that stuff. But you look at the parking. I want you specifically to look at how that drive-through works out when you make the order and then you pay the cashier and then you get your food. Take that into consideration. Take the time to think about a route through the drive-through. What is exposed? What is hidden? Who can see what from what angle? Think about the cashier. Think about all of the stuff around the drive-through. And actually, when you're there and stop, think about that from the time somebody pulls into the parking area. And again, you will be applying that to somebody else's testimony. And then you'll be thinking and applying that. Does this work? Does this not work? What's going on here? It is your evidence. From there, you heard that we're going to Colonial Village. And that is a place that you're getting out. So you will take the time. Traffic is going to be different from testimony that you hear about, but you want to look. What is exposed? What is hidden? From particular places, looking at the building, what can you see? What can't you see? We're going to direct you to particular places and areas and say, take a look and consider from this perspective something that pictures can never quite do. And you got to hold it in your mind and again, apply it to testimony as it comes in. This is an exhibit throughout the trial, not just for this afternoon. From the Colonial, you will go to Elm and Webster, which is a place that you're going to get out. And that is really critical on traffic because, again, it can't be recreated. But there is going to be testimony about traffic, about reaction to traffic. There's a car that's broken down there, and about what people did about the car, about what traffic was like because the car was broken down. And you want to, again, look, what's exposed, what is hidden, and apply your exhibit in your head to the testimony that comes here at trial. Then Fit Shelter is the next place. And you're going to hear about information that happened inside fit shelter. So you won't have that sort of same perspective of what's exposed and what's not exposed, because you won't actually see that part. And there's testimony about fit shelter that is very disturbing, but you still need to go there so that you put it in place about the type of place that it is. And
Objection? I'm sorry, I think there's an objection. Essentially withdraw.
messing up my words, Union Avenue. Sorry. You will not be going into Union Avenue, but some very disturbing things occurred at Union Avenue. So you want to hold this into your head. Think about the building. Think about the location. Remember Union Avenue, even though you can't go into it, and I think you'll be very happy that you don't go into it. All of this is an exhibit inside of your head, and keep the names a little bit better than I did. I'm so sorry about that. But the location is the same, and this is the journey that we are taking. And at the end from Union Avenue, you're going to come back here. And as they say, pass by the corner at Merrimack and Elm. Keep that in mind. I also want you to keep in mind the distance from the two. Distance in this case is a little bit less important, but still something to keep in mind as a person testifies about traveling from place to place, about how long does it take, the traffic lights, what is a delay. And I did forget, at each of those traffic lights, I want you to look around again, just as you're going through the traffic lights, what's exposed, what is hidden. You're going to be on streets. Assume that everything on the street is exposed. Look around on the sidewalks and the areas around it as well. It's a difficult thing. Again, you're not taking notes. And you're going to have to remember this as you apply it to all of the testimony in this case. All of these locations are important, not necessarily for the reasons that the state said. There is a dispute going on here, but there is no dispute that all these locations are very, very important. And we can only ask you to pay attention as best you can. When we get there, we'll just remind you of perspective and specific areas to look at. I believe that we'll be going behind you to make sure that the bus stops long enough for you to absorb all of the areas before you go to the next one, until you step out and actually walk around, starting at Colonial Village. Thank you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that concludes the preview statements. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to send you back into the jury deliberation room. This is a good time to use the restroom, have a drink of water. I think we've got a little bit of time before the bus arrives. We will let you know when the bus arrives, and you'll be escorted by the court officers. I will be on the bus with you, as well as some of the court staff. The lawyers will be going separately. So just be patient. As soon as the bus is ready for us and all of our business here is concluded, we will go ahead and get on the bus and begin the view. All right. The reminder about not talking about the case with each other or with anyone else, or doing any independent research, make sure you don't do that. Okay. All rise for the jurors, please. counsel?
Well, that's probably why he didn't show up today. Too much of a risk.
Yeah, and he probably knew they were going to be doing this view and all this and that, so that might have been another reason why he didn't show up. Are they bringing a TV in?
Bringing
Yes.
out.
I wonder why they're bringing a TV in if they're not going to be there. Because I would think if it's already almost what 2 o'clock up there. So more than likely, after they get done with their little field trip today, they're not.
Go home,
they're
right?
yeah. She'll probably dismiss them for the rest of the afternoon and not come back until tomorrow. Hey, Justin, how are you?
Well, you think they'd have everything set up already,
Right.
too.
Yeah. So I don't know. We'll find out what they're going to do for the
I
court
wonder if
audience
they're
to view
gonna.
it.
Yeah, that's what I was getting ready to say. I wonder what they're gonna do about that.
I don't know. I don't know how
Yeah.
that's going to work. Because, I mean, obviously, Court TV is the one that's got the camera in there, so they would have known about this. But the way they explained it to begin with, though, they wasn't planning on doing this view before the opening statements. So
Yeah, I mean, that's what it sounded like to me, too.
So I wonder if they are going to allow a camera to go with them because they're not supposed to film or photograph the jury members.
Jury, right.
So I wonder how, I mean, that's going to be kind of hard to do as well. You know,
Yeah.
go into these areas and listening to what's being said, but also not getting any of the jury members on camera.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. I'm curious too. But, you know, this right here is a good example of why they should not have torn down the house in Idaho.
Right. That is true. Even if they couldn't go in it, they could have at least went outside of it. And what Mr. Gonzalez was saying in that case, the points of view of where this car had stopped, that this would have been a perfect thing that they could have done.
Absolutely. And it just won't be the same if the house isn't there. Even if they go look at that, it's not going to be the same.
Right. See so many reflections, and that is true too. It's going to be tricky if the cameras do go with the jury today because there at certain points they can get off the bus and walk around and look. So how are you going to be able to keep a camera from picking up a jury member, but also trying to get what they're looking at as well?
Right.
So and
Well,
Tiff, they
maybe
could
they
do
have
that.
some worked out. What's she saying?
Well,
I'm sorry. I can't read chat.
Tiff said they can let them go record once the jurors are back on the bus, sort of like what they did with the Murdaugh case. Once the juries were done looking around, then they allowed the cameras to go in and record around the house and all that. So they might do that. We'll just have to see what they're. Maybe the judge will come back and let the people in the courtroom know
what's going to happen. Yeah.
I don't know. I just, like I said earlier, I think that there's going to be more evidence that's going to be shown in this trial that none of us were aware of.
Oh, I believe that completely.
And I think the part where they were talking about, where he said about where Harmony was taken and something about consolidated and crushed or whatever, I'm wondering if that's where they're talking about at the apartment where all that happened in the bathtub.
You admit to each and every element of the offense of falsifying physical evidence and abuse of corpse. Is that okay? And did you speak with your lawyers in detail about that?
Yes, I did.
And have you reviewed the opening statement in which they will tell that to the jurors?
Yes, I did.
And do you wish for them to acknowledge your guilt on both of those charges, falsifying physical evidence and abuse of corpse?
Yes.
And do you understand that it would be the state's obligation to prove each and every element of those offenses beyond a reasonable doubt before the jury could find you guilty? Do you understand that?
Yes.
And that by agreeing to allow them to acknowledge this in opening statements, the jurors can find you guilty of those two offenses, relying
Yes.
on that information. Do you understand that?
Yes.
Okay, and that is what you wish to do?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, do you have any further question about that?
No, I do not.
All right. Anything further that the state requests?
As further the state request, we assume that the court would take that into account and make a decision whether or not he's making a knowing, intelligent, voluntary waiver of essentially proving his facts and proceeding this way, which the court will do.
Okay. So anything you want to add, Attorney Smith?
Not on that issue.
Okay. So, Mr. Montgomery, having heard from you that you've discussed this with your lawyers, that you've reviewed the opening statements, the draft of the opening statement, that you acknowledge that you understand that the burden of proof is on the state to prove each of those offenses beyond a reasonable doubt, and that it understanding that it is your desire for them to proceed with that strategy, the court does find that this is a knowing, intelligent, and voluntary waiver of your rights and will allow them to proceed on that basis. Okay?
Oh, yep.
Okay. So while I have you, today you did refuse transport, so I want to talk to you about tomorrow. As we discussed with you this morning, you can't change your mind midway through the day, but you can inform the court if you wish to come tomorrow. And what I would like to do, and each day thereafter. So you can come and we will send a transport for you. That is your absolute right. But as I explained to you this morning, it's also your right to waive your presence and for us to proceed in your absence. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to instruct the sheriff's office and the Department of Corrections that someone will ask you tomorrow morning, do you wish to come to court today? We will have transport available to you if you want to come, but I am not inclined to send a car up there to pick you up only to have you refuse. So do you understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Do you have any concern about that procedure?
No, I do not.
Okay. So it is our intention to have someone ask you tomorrow morning whether or not you wish to come. And whenever they come to ask you that question, they're going to need an answer from you so that we have sufficient time to make sure that we get you down here in order for us to start the trial in a timely manner. Do you understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And I believe your counsel will be speaking to you later, at some point later today?
Not today.
Oh, not
We
today.
can't.
Okay.
24-hour notice.
Okay. So that's going to be the procedure for tomorrow morning and each day thereafter of this trial, unless and until the court makes a different order on that. Do you understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Is there anything further from the state while Mr. Montgomery is present?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. Anything further from the defense?
No, Your Honor.
All right. Mr. Montgomery, you're free to go now. I appreciate that that you are speaking with us when we need to speak with you, because we are keeping the jurors waiting when we do this.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. You're all set. All right. Counsel, we will wait to hear when the bus is here. As soon as the bus is here, I guess I'll just have you all notified. Yes. Yes, I know. Oh, the bus is not here, right? When we thank you, Peter. When the bus is here, let us know so that we can gather everybody up and make sure everybody's in their respective vehicles at the right time. So we'll have somebody, probably the court officer will check in with you. I'll get on the bus with the court staff and the jurors when we get the go ahead from everybody. Okay. All right. Very good. Let me know if you need me before then. Attorney Gotti,
Yes, ma'am.
counsel.
Dang it, we missed part of that conversation when he was on the TV.
How did we do that?
Because they already had it playing before they brought the sound back up on the camera. So
Oh, that's
I didn't,
true.
because what it sounded like whenever they started the sound back, it sounded like he was changing his pleas to guilty on some of the charges. But because I didn't get to
Yeah.
hear the whole conversation, now I've got to try to keep up with what Court TV is going to put out about what happened today.
Oh, he's just on those two particular points. He's going to go ahead and plead guilty on that.
That's what it sounded like. That's what they were
That's
doing.
what
It
I
was,
thought.
but I was trying to listen to what they were talking about and trying to write at the same time, and I didn't get the two charges that they were talking about. So,
Well, you have time. Run it back. You
yeah,
have
I'll go.
plenty of time.
I'm sure Court TV will probably, or one of them, News Nation, one of them will come out with something. I know there's some local stations up there also that's streaming this. So I will go back and see what they put out today to let y'all know whatever, because I am going to go live tonight for a little while. And we'll do kind of a recap of what happened today for those who didn't get a chance to watch it. So I'm wondering what we're doing today. I mean, are they going to have a camera with them?
They didn't say.
No, I know. So I wouldn't think they would take a camera with them just because of the jurors and not wanting to, catch them on camera. But I don't know what they're going to do.
How did they do Murdoch?
I think so Murdoch, they did it after the jury was done. They allowed the cameras to go and film some, so they couldn't get them. So he's admitting to falsifying evidence and abuse of a corpse. So he's pleading guilty to abuse of a corpse. He might as well go ahead and plead guilty of murdering her.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense.
I mean, how can you abuse a corpse if you didn't murder her? Okay, let me write this down. Falsifying evidence.
Yeah, I don't get those two. Honestly.
No, that don't make any sense. Yeah, unless he blames the friend, but I mean, damn, shouldn't he have already came up and accused the friend? Let's see, I bet he's going to say that she died another way. This is going to be interesting, y'all, once this gets started. Is he going to blame Kayla? I don't know. I wonder if he's going to testify.
I don't know, but surely they're going to make him sit through some of this stuff. I would say to the jury if he decides to stay gone. He's just indifferent about the whole thing, or what?
Apparently in that state they don't. It's not mandated that they show up for their trials. I think he should be there.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, this is his trial that he is sitting through, and he is maintaining his innocence through it. So why not go? Is it because you don't want to see all this evidence that's going to be presented, and you don't want to see the pictures and all this and that? So
maybe he's watching it on Zoom.
I don't know.
He should have to be forced to come there and listen to that. It's just, to me, that's just another smack in the face to her memory.
Right. And the amazing Tiff said this makes sense. Doing it now forces the prosecution to scramble to adjust their tactics. So don't bother listening back to your system or to your stream. When they are talking to him, everyone on panel is talking over the explanation. I'll just go back and they'll have an article out about it, about what was said
Right, because I did
over
miss
it.
part of
So,
that too.
yeah, me, San Antonio Otis have been a Soto case because dad helped dispose of their bodies. I don't know, KK. This is gonna be it's gonna be interesting to hear what his defense, because the state, when they were talking about the journey that they're going to take today, the state says this is the last journey that Harmony took. Then the defense gets up there and was like, no, this is not the last journey that Harmony took. So, going to be interesting what the defense has to come up with. And yet, now I'm ready to hear more, and we're not going to get to hear any more today.
Yeah, they keep teasing us. I would think they'd somehow or other that they would figure out a way to let us see or hear or something.
Something. I mean, Core TV still got it going. So I don't know what they're going to do. And I hate for us to all sit here and not know what they're doing. Let me see something real quick. Okay, I'm looking at something real quick, y'all. She's late on it. Okay, so I was looking up something else to see if anybody else had any information going on about it. I guess I'll just end it here.
Can she repeat that? Go ahead, hon. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. I guess I'll just go ahead and wait. Where
Well,
is
let's
Crime
wait and see what
Curious?
happens.
Avery, where is Crime Curious at? Is she YouTube or?
Yeah, I believe she is.
Okay, let me see if I can look her up. Oh my God, my nose is starting to.
I hope you
Shit, I
don't
don't
mind.
have.
I'm at work. I just thought I'd come up and kind of
No.
visit with you in between each thing,
Okay, no, you're good.
as long as I don't have a customer.
Okay, Crime Curious just has a lot of her stuff upcoming and scheduled, and she's going to be doing a nightly recap tonight.
I
So
like it.
I didn't see what time is hers. 8:00 tonight is what she has hers scheduled. Nightly recap, sharing my experience from inside the courtroom. So I will have to. I might have to check that out when she does it.
Oh, yeah.
Why is it not? Why can't I turn on the notifications for her? Okay.
I don't know. I didn't get my notifications for Deb the other day when she went live with that Stacy Wonder, I think.
Really? I know some
Yeah, I
people are
didn't.
not getting. Some people are not getting my notifications. A lot of times.
Yeah. Well, they say when that happens to turn off your notifications and turn them back on. That's just what I've heard. That's what I did
Yeah,
with Deb's.
that's what I've told people to do. Uh, and if it still don't work, they may have to just keep doing it. Let's see if I follow her on Twitter. No, I do not, but I do now. Okay. All right, so I've got her on Twitter also. That way I can keep up with everything. Let's see, I can see whoever leaked it to Ikmail's live stream that it was getting postponed will leak the deets to him on the field trip. Oh, so they've got a leak, KK? Wow. I'm going to give it a few more minutes.
Yeah, because it's going to take a few minutes for them to get on the bus and loaded and out there. And I don't know why they didn't have the bus ready to go, honestly.
Okay, so all right, KK, I just got your message on Discord. I'm so behind on messages, y'all. And Avery, I'm gonna get back to you in a few minutes. I'm so behind on emails, messages, notifications. So as it's not been postponed at that source, don't know Jack. Let's see, don't have Adam changed his plea on 2 charges. Charges that was getting postponed because
That doesn't make sense to me. Why would we do that?
So wait, KK, wait, what are you talking about? Meta told us it was getting postponed before we heard it on camera because someone in the chat said it. So wait, what was getting postponed?
Opening statements, maybe?
That might have been it. Because that's what she had said to begin with, and that's what my understanding was, that the opening statements was supposed to happen today, and then they ended up changing it and doing the view first before opening statements. Man, the judges came in with jokes today with changing everything up. For real. Let's see. All right. Avery, I just wrote you back. And I'll get into all the other stuff I was talking about the other day once I get done on here. Push back now to the end of the day if time permits. I just don't think they're going to make it. It's already 2:00 there, and they're talking about ending each afternoon at, was it 3:00? No, 4:00.
3 or 4?
It was 4:00 their time. By the time they get the bus there, get all the people on there, go do all these, different places and stops and letting the jury get out and look around and all that, I just don't see them being back before 4 or 5 o'clock. Because, the 3 hours will be 5 o'clock there.
Yeah. I'm just curious as to wonder if they're going to show anything while they're there.
Yeah. It might get dark on them. What time does it usually get dark up there? Here it's like 6:30 now.
Yeah, that's about what ours is.
Let's see. Not sure if it's smart to tell us their path. How do they keep other media away from the public street?
Well, they're not getting out of the bus except for at one stop, is my understanding.
Or one or two. I think the apartment building.
Yeah.
The parking lot at the apartment building, I believe they can get out at, and I think the intersection where the car broke down. That intersection,
right.
I can't remember if they said something. Are they getting out at the Burger King? Hey, Kelty.
I don't remember hearing that. I don't know for sure.
Because they wanted them to make sure that they looked at the surroundings there, the drive-through, and all this and that. But I can't remember if they said that they were going to get out there. So I was trying to write it all down as they were talking, and I had shit going on behind me in here, so I didn't get it all. Meta, I don't know. They just, like 5 or so minutes ago, the judge left the bench and they were waiting on the bus to show up at that point. I doubt it's left yet because they got to give everybody else, the attorneys are all going in their own vehicles. They're not going on the bus. So she said that they had to give them time to get to their vehicles and all that too. So they can all be
I know this is
together.
terrible, but I kind of am like, okay, so when we have funerals and stuff, when we go to the cemetery, it takes forever to get everybody in and loaded and
Mm-hmm. Yep.
so
My YouTube is
that would
acting
be a
crazy.
while.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Don't know how far the bus was from the courthouse, but they had to get it there. I think the bailiff had been called for it, but they had to wait for it to get there. Then they got to get the jurors out, and it's going to be in a place where nobody can catch the jurors on camera. Make sure that all the attorneys are all together and ready to go with the bus. And they even said that tell the jurors if any of them need any more time at the areas where they stop at to let them know. So it could take a good 3 to 4 hours for all this.
Yep.
Okay, so Court TV has now went to that screen, but I'm gonna leave it pulled up just in case they do come back later. Let's see if they put anything else out.
I don't understand why would he waive? Why would he change his plea on those two things? He must be gonna blame somebody else or something.
I don't know. Something's up with it. Or like somebody said in chat a few minutes ago, that's his tactic to, he's doing that to make the state change their tactics up.
Could be.
2 minutes ago. Let's see what this one says. Because I would have thought the judge would have at least said, once the jurors come back to the courthouse, then they will be, they'll get to go home, and we'll pick up tomorrow. But let's see what everybody's saying on Twitter about this. Surely somebody's going off on Twitter about it.
You would think so. I go about everything else.
Okay, so Grizzly is saying, so opening statements maybe later or tomorrow.
I like her.
Oh, yes. I remember watching her way back.
I had forgotten she had blue hair.
She was on what?
I had forgotten she had blue hair when she first started.
Seems like forever ago too, don't it?
I know. She changed it pretty quickly though.
Okay, so somebody posted under Grizzly's tweet. He is in negotiations to plead guilty to some charges, so delayed until tomorrow. I wish they would let us know if that's what they were doing.
Yeah, that would be nice.
Okay, that was. Oh, crap. I'm just trying to figure out what they're going to do today before I know if I need to end this.
Hi, how can I help you?
Okay, so apparently he pleads guilty to falsifying physical evidence and abusing of a corpse, but he still wants to argue that he didn't cause her death. I just don't get the abuse of corpse pleading guilty to that. And still maintaining that he's innocent in her murder. Okay, I have not seen if Brian Hinton is there, but there is a Matt Johnson that posted 44 seconds ago. The bus is here for jury view. And it's outside of the courthouse. All right, so somebody else posted an hour ago, breaking opening statements in the Adam Montgomery trial are delayed until tomorrow. Sources say Adam is in negotiations to concede to some charges. Important note, this is not in the trial. Jury will still go on a viewing today. Wow. All right, so apparently the opening statements will start tomorrow. Yeah, this is going to be a crazy trial. First day, we ain't even had opening statements, and the trial has already started going crazy. Scardo's King. Wait, what is it, KK? KK, we gotta wait. We have no patience, but we gotta wait. That's what everybody is saying, though, that it's been delayed until tomorrow, so opening statements will start in the morning. So court is supposed to start at, like I said, 9 a.m. Eastern time, which is 8 a.m. Central time. I will be going live about 5 to 10 minutes before that. So about 7:50 to 7:55 a.m. Central time. That way I can have everything up and going and ready as soon as court starts. Happy Cappy, he refused to even help look for her. That should have been a huge red flag. Shall be negotiating nothing with this man. I told him he's completely guilty of all of it, or don't waste the court's time. Yeah. He would have had to have told where her body was before I would have done any type of negotiation with him. Or he could have went to trial for all of his charges. All right, so y'all, I guess I'm gonna go ahead and just end it here. And if for some reason
we could catch up on anything tonight.
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. If they do come back later on this afternoon into the court, then I will just go over that tonight. And I will do a recap for those who didn't get a chance to join us today for this. But like I said, I will be back in the morning, bright and early, to listen to all the shenanigans that's going to happen tomorrow. But yeah, I guess I'm going to go ahead and end it here. And I'll be back later on tonight. I'm going to try to go live at 9. If I can get everything done around here. Let's see. Let me catch back up in chat. Lady B, thank you for coming up. Okay, Betty Joe. Let's see. That's about the only thing that he has to bargain with. I wouldn't have bargained anything from him, though, Tiff, honestly. Like, you would have had to tell me where that baby was at or what you did with her. You wouldn't have got nothing. So, all right, y'all. Well, thank y'all so much for coming and hanging out with us while this happened. HT, you were very welcome. So yeah, I'm gonna keep Court TV's thing pulled up. If they happen to come back, I will get some notes on it and go over it with y'all tonight. But I love you all, and I will see y'all later on tonight.